Hey everybody, Yankee here. The other day during my live chat, one of my viewers asked me, what's the most accurate snub-nose revolver that they can buy for carry? Which one is the most inherently accurate out of all the little easy to carry guns? Which one are you going to be most likely to be able to hit your target with? Well, I'm going to try today to answer that question. And it's not going to be easy because there is no most inherently accurate snub-nose revolver. Well, there might be, but it'd be very hard to determine which one that was, if you could at all. It's really going to come down to a lot of factors other than inherent accuracy when it comes to which of the snub-nose revolvers are you most likely to be able to hit your target with. Because here's the reality. They're all very similar. You know, they all have that 1.5 to 2 inch barrel, usually 1 7/8 or 2 inch barrel, sometimes 2.5 or 3, even if you want to go with a bigger barrel. But when you're looking at the little snubbies with, like I said, the 1.5, 2 inch barrels, they're pretty much going to have the same inherent accuracy. It's going to be very similar. Same length of barrel, they use similar rifling. Most guns are well made now, so as long as you're buying a decent manufactured gun from a reputable manufacturer, you're probably going to have very similar inherent accuracy. It's other factors that are going to make the difference. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to shoot several of my little 2 inch and smaller snub-nose revolvers, and I'm going to talk about what factor of each gun makes it better for carry and better for accuracy. All right, first off, we're going to talk about size, because even though these guns are all very similar, there are size differences, and some of them will fit hands differently. So you're going to want to try them. You're going to want to see that you can get both hands on this gun. Not only does it need to be comfortable in one hand, which you can easily shoot these guns with one hand, you need to be able to put both hands on it and not be interfering with yourself, not getting in your own way. You've got to be able to put your offhand on there, grip the gun well, and still be able to pull that trigger without your fingers getting in the way, without the meat of your hand getting in the way, etc. So find a gun that fits your hand better, because trigger reaches can be different. The size of the body can be different. All kinds of things can be different. So try as many of them in your hand as possible. Another thing to take into account is the actual grip. Now, this is something you can change, but you're going to want to make sure that you can get as many fingers on it as possible. Now, with a 38 Special, something like that, a 2-finger grip isn't as bad as it would be with a 357 Magnum. But if you can get 3 fingers on the grip, like this grip here that has a place for all 3 fingers, that's going to make you much more able to control that gun, be able to get a better grip on that gun. You're going to be able to shoot it more accurately. Now, I'm not saying you can't shoot a 2-fingered grip or a bantam grip as well as you need to for carry, but it's always going to be better if you can get more fingers on it. Now, another factor is the weight of the gun. A heavier gun is going to absorb recoil better. You're going to have less felt recoil. It is going to make it a little harder to carry, but if you ever have to use it, that will make a difference. And not just because it does change how the gun reacts to that recoil, but it changes how you react, because you got used to shooting it and you don't feel as much recoil, so you're not going to anticipate that recoil as badly, and you're going to handle your gun better simply because you're better trained and better conditioned to do so. Another thing you're going to need to consider is sights. Now, I think the number one reason a lot of people don't shoot snubbies accurately is because they anticipate that recoil. You know, they can be kind of abusive, and people know that, and they see it coming, and they prepare for it. But another reason I think people are inaccurate with snubbies is they don't understand that the sights aren't great on a lot of them. And if you have one that has a gutter front sight and a fixed front sight, often you've got to actually file that down a little bit to get it to where it's accurate. So it might not be on target from the factory for you, because you've got to decide which range you're going to be shooting at most, and you sometimes have to file those off. That's if they're a fixed front sight. Now, if it's a removable front sight, you can change the sight, change the heights. But if it's a gutter rear sight, you really don't have a lot of change to do there. In fact, there's not much you can do. And it does make it easier to be inaccurate, because it's not really a great system. It's really hard to line that up properly. But if you've got a gun that actually has true front and rear sights, you can even drift the rear sights, and you can change the height of the front sights, well, you're going to be able to get a better sight picture. Now, the actual focal length here isn't going to be very long, so it's not going to be as accurate as it would be on a longer gun. But still, this is better than a gutter sight and a fixed front sight. It's just going to be easier to use. Unfortunately, most Small guns, small revolvers didn't have that up till recently. That's actually nice that that's being more common now. So that really will help make a gun more accurate. If you have better sights that you can customize to what you want, make them to where they're fiber optic in the front or something else so that you can pick it up easier. Being able to see those sights, line them up quickly, that makes the gun more accurate in your hands. And a final thing you're going to want to look at is trigger weights. Because if you're firing in single action, all these are very light. You know, they're 2 pounds and less. That makes them very accurate. That's the one great thing about having one. If it's actually a hammer fire gun that you can cock back, you're going to get a far more accurate single shot. Now, every subsequent shot, unless you cock it by hand, is going to be double action also. But you get that first shot, and first shot accuracy means a lot. You get that first shot that's very accurate because of that single action trigger. And when it comes to the double action, you're going to have to think which one actually has the best trigger. Whichever one has the smoothest, cleanest, best resetting trigger probably is going to help you shoot it more accurately. So trigger weight, how smooth the trigger is, all of that matters just as much as things like weight and sights and everything else, because that really affects how well you pull that trigger and shoot that gun. So if you take all those things into consideration when you're choosing your Snubbie, how big is it? Does it fit my hand? Can I get 3 fingers on the grip? Do I need 3 fingers on the grip? Is the trigger good and solid? Is the trigger very smooth? Are the sights good? Can I change them out? You know, all of those things. When you consider all those things and you actually take the gun out and you give it a few shots and you see that it fits your hand, you have full control over it. Your hands aren't interfering with each other. The sights are good. The sights are adjustable. The trigger pull is smooth. All of those things add up to an accurate Snubbie. Like I said, the reason a lot of people can't shoot Snubbies is because they anticipate that recoil, because they can be abusive little guns. And also, there's those other factors that they don't really take into account. They keep looking for the golden gun. They try to buy accuracy, saying this gun's the most accurate, so therefore that's the one I need to get. Well, that's not the way it is. You actually have to practice with your gun. And your gun has to have the features you need. It has to have all the assets to help you be more accurate. Like I said, how it fits your hand, how the trigger pulls, all that matters. And then what matters even more than that is that you go out and practice with it. You get used to it, shoot some 38s through it if it's a 357 Magnum, so that you're not getting, you know, conditioned to be afraid of it. Just learn how to pull that trigger, dry fire it a lot, all that stuff. Practice, practice, practice with a gun that has the features you need, and that will be the most accurate Snubbie, at least for you. Actually make that a good, reliable reason people shoot Snubbies, and it's still between them. Shut up! God damn it, Bert, I'm going to shoot you. Because even though they are different sizes,